Mexican Redbud is our first one here. SwingLow Distylium is our second, and it should only get 2 to 3 feet tall and about 4 to 6 feet wide. And we have plenty of red hot pokers. We were able to pick these up for a very affordable price.
Dean Family Acres.
All right, guys, so we got our Bloomathon lavenders planted, one here, and one right back here behind me. These stay spaced out about 42 inches. Got the Mexican Redbud planted, kind of healed it back up, making sure that that's got plenty of soil over it. I think that might have been one of our problems last time. And just making sure that there's no air pockets. You want to make sure that soil is clear all the way down, just because of the way that root mass was. So we've got all that done, and now we've got to figure out what we want to do with these hot pokers. I think the best way to do that might be either my trenching shovel or post hole digger. So we're going to figure that out, and then I got to figure out where I want to do with either this golden mop cypress or this Distylium. And I don't know that we have room for both, and it not feel like it's going to be crowded whenever these grow out, because these say they can get up to 4 feet, but obviously you can keep them pruned down, but they bloom continuously. So I'm thinking, you know, maybe keep those at 3 feet or so. So we'll have a nice here, and nice right behind me. And then you can see I'm sitting on, I put in 3 stones from our rock stash that we got. Again, marketplace and or Facebook groups. Just keep your eyes peeled. If you're really wanting some stones for your place, find somebody who's doing construction and they need them out of there. I won't say that what I got was prime, because I know that some, they kind of crumble, but you know, unless you're going to be driving over or something like that, it'll last a really, really long time. So got those 3 in. You got to decide what else we want to do. I'm thinking we might kind of just inlay some irises and or lilies on these other directions. So let's see if we can get all this wrapped up. All right, guys, so we have multiple different hot pokers here, and these are one of the coolest plants, and I've wanted one for years. I did buy one back in the spring and planted it, and it is a papaya popsicle, I think kaleidoscope red hot poker. This is a Poco red hot poker. We got these from the discount store. And let's see what else we got here. So we've got a Poco orange. I think Poco means small, if I'm remembering my Espanol correctly. So basically we have 2 orange, 2 red, and then I believe that this papaya popsicle is the same as the one I got from Lowe's on clearance back in the spring. So Alright guys, so hopefully you are able to see what we did. We ended up putting the red hot pokers in this little triangle shape. We had already had this one planted, so I just kind of worked it around in that triangle to keep those all together. And because of that, I had to move these irises that had really multiplied a lot. So I kind of just spread them out into this area. And honestly, I probably have enough that I didn't really split any. I think one might have broken off that was really big, but I really probably could fill in the rest of this area with irises if I wanted to. But I want to at least put one thing in here that's going to keep its leaves or its foliage during winter time, because everything else out here will lose it. So I just kind of want to have at least something out here that's going to keep some foliage. So Just trying to figure out what that's going to be, and y'all tune in to find out. All right, guys, so we got SwingLow Distylium. I'll help if I show you the right side, SwingLow. And we have had this for at least a year. And it is, wow, not as bad as I thought. Here. All right, I think I want it going like this. All right, guys, so I've got the crepe myrtles that we dug up. I probably should have done this earlier in the day, but it'll be all right. If they don't make it, they don't make it. I just figure might as well try and put them somewhere else. So I think we're just gonna plant them here in the edge. I don't want to block anything because I think at some point I might clear out in here. But I think just gonna put a couple around the edge, right here at the edge of the woods. As you remember, anything pretty much from the fence line all the way back to the back of our property is a little bit different in regards to soil composition. So this is a little bit more loamy. All right, guys, so hopefully this has been a beneficial video for y'all in regards to exactly what we did and how we laid that out. So let me talk just a little bit about why we did what we did. Number one, we wanted to eliminate hard mowing. So I'm not a big fan of having to do a lot of weed eating. So anytime that you're kind of laying out different beds, you kind of want to think about the shape. I've heard of many saying just make it a continual gradual curve, so come all the way around to the other side of the tree. That's something you certainly could do, and we might do that in the future. Number two, I wanted to make this as low maintenance as possible. I know a couple other areas that we've done things, I thought it was going to be low maintenance, and we ended up just having an infestation of weeds. So I'm hoping that this will work well. Number three, I needed to use up the plants that we have been collecting for the last couple of years. So that's how we ended up with the plants here that we have. So let's talk about those a little bit. All right, so we have Mexican redbud here. We've had this for a couple years. I did up pot it last year and it just did not take really well, so I'm hoping that it will recover and do well. I think we had some air gaps, and the stake that we had it on allowed it to move just because of the composition of the soil that it was in. So Mexican redbud is our first one here. SwingLow Distylium is our second, and it should only get 2 to 3 feet tall and about 4 to 6 feet wide. And we have plenty of red hot pokers. We were able to pick these up for a very affordable price. This is one of my favorite flowers or plants, and the reason that I kind of like them, and there's something unique, you don't see them very often, so let's hope that several of these do take. I've had them in the past and didn't get them potted, and I found that any kind of grassy type plant, they just don't do well overwintering, so I want to make sure and get these planted so that they will do well. We also redistributed about 10 different irises, and I believe most of these are Indian Chief. We will see once they do start blooming, but I'm pretty certain kind of right in this range is about where those are. And then last, we've got the Bloomathon Azalea. Those are lavender color. We've got 3 of those, and then also we put in the 3 stones. So hopefully you can kind of see exactly how we got this laid out and the different reasons of why. This tree can get 20 to 30 feet tall, which would be about the same size as our crepe myrtle here. And then we've got the free maple. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out right here. Potentially even growing this bed out a little bit further. I know that eventually we do want to kind of go the other way with it, but we just have to kind of figure out exactly what we're going to do with the back door at the house in regard to that, and or a porch or sunroom or something like that. So just a couple of different ideas we're working on and trying to figure out. Hopefully you guys will follow along and see exactly how we end up using some of these other plants that we've had. Some of them we've had for quite some time, some not quite as long. But we're working on at least one other bed that we're wanting to redo and expand. And then from here on out, we'll be able to see exactly how all this turns out. I'd love to hear exactly how each and every one of y'all use this time of year in regards to being able to get out in your yard, plant, organize things, prepare for the spring. A lot of different options out there right now. Really hoping that we can use this time of year to be able to be beneficial in regards to our landscaping. I made a comment in one of our other videos just about a lot of people don't necessarily think about this time of year being a great time to be able to do planting. I think it was kind of misunderstood. Right now is a great time. If you live, I would say anywhere up into zone 7, possibly even 6B, further south, then I would strongly encourage you to use this time of year to plant almost everything. There are a few exceptions for that, but as long as the ground's not frozen, you can plant and just really be able to take an advantage. Don't just wait and do it in the spring. You really can kind of get a jump start with having things get established, and certainly can potentially even give you a whole year's worth of growth in that amount of time, because it can become established and not really go through shock that first spring. And also, especially here in 8A, it can benefit you because you don't have to worry about watering as much once spring and summer hits, because the roots are already established. If you're going to plant something and it ends up being late spring, early summer, you're probably going to have to water that all the way through unless we have a really wet season. This past year, we had a pretty wet just spring time, but then once it hit summer, we hardly had any rain for quite some time. So kind of thinking through that, if you do have an opportunity to go ahead and find some plants and that kind of thing, go ahead and do it now. Don't wait until the spring. Lastly, now is also an excellent time to find some frugal bargains when you're at different stores. I think next week we're going to try our best to see what we can find in regards to discounted plants, and just kind of recapping what we end up doing. So be sure and stay tuned next week, as on Sunday we'll release a video talking specifically about how to save money, but especially this time of year, how to look for those bargains. A lot of people they don't think about fall time as a great time to plant, especially landscaping plantings, or planting flowers that maybe are perennials, but they only bloom, let's say, late summer through fall. You can really get a great opportunity to really expand at very minimal cost what you have in your yard and your landscape. So kind of think about that through this week, and we'll be able to present that video to you next week. I really do appreciate each and every person watching, as we've come quite some ways in regards to just landscaping here. When we first moved to our home, landscaping in the front was very minimal to nothing, with a couple Bradford pear trees that needed to go, and some foundation plantings that were growing up as tall as the roof and were only a foot away from our foundation. So again, it just takes time. Other than that, that was really pretty much it. We have really expanded in regards to where we have different plantings and where we have expanded. If you hadn't checked out some of those landscaping episodes from here at Dean Family Acres, go check those out here. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Hope that you like, share, and subscribe. If you do subscribe, definitely ring that bell like Mike Tyson did in the 1980s, and that way you won't miss a single episode of Dean Family Acres, because YouTube will notify you. Really appreciate it, and if you find this useful, be sure and share it with others. Y'all have a blessed day.